Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another story time video for you. I know you guys really enjoy, some of you really enjoy my story times, so I wanted to incorporate more of just my experiences. This is a more like fun story time, and like my recent story times, this one also has a lesson, but it is more, I want to say a more exciting, maybe funny and scary story time. You've read the title, obviously you probably have. You would know that I was a witch. Yes, a witch. So let me explain. First of all, let me just address the bed sheets behind me. I know in my last story time I had the same bed sheets. Let me just say, real quick disclaimer. My husband and I just bought this bed, I want to say last summer, so it's been a few months, a little shy of a year. We upgraded from a queen to a king. We have about 4 bed sheets slash bed spreads that I alternate from. So we don't have a whole lot of bed sheets and comforters. It just so happened that I just changed my bed set again, and it happens to be the same bed set as my last video, my last storytime video. But I swear to you, it has not been on this bed for that long. I know how some of y'all passing through like to say stuff and, you know, point out some stuff that just has nothing to do with the content of my video. Moving on to the story, so if you read the description box down below, or the title of this video, description box, you would know that I was a witch. Okay, so it all started out with the movie The Craft. Okay, I saw that movie for the first time, I think it was the 5th grade or the 7th grade, not the 7th grade, it couldn't have been the 7th grade. Was it the 7th grade? I think it might have been the 7th grade. Okay, so it had to come out when I was in the 7th grade. As I mentioned in some of my past videos, I was a very awkward girl, very thin, really bushy eyebrows, and I wasn't very confident. One second. Anyway, The Craft came out when I was in the 7th grade. And as I mentioned, I was a very awkward girl. I was very thin. I didn't have a whole lot of self-confidence. I didn't have any self-confidence. I was just very insecure. I was the girl who had a lot of guy friends that no boys liked. The girl that got treated like a dude because she hung out with the dudes, but didn't want to be treated like a dude. I just wanted very much to feel wanted. And so when I saw The Craft, I loved the idea of having a very close group of friends that you shared all your secrets with, and you all were just very tight. And I didn't have that even in the 7th grade. So I saw that and I was like, wow, I really wanted that. So there was these other 3 girls. I will not be saying their name. I'm gonna call them something else just for the sake of privacy. Not that I don't think that you'll be able to figure out who they are even if I gave you their first names, but I'm not gonna do it anyway. We hung out, and we were really good friends, and I thought this would be a really good way for us to get closer. So I brought it up to them and I was like, guys, we should be like the modern day Craft. And they were like, oh my god, that's such a good idea. And so we started off by hanging out often, and I thought, wow, this is really awesome. This is exactly what I was missing out on, like that friendship, that closeness. And a few times we would go to like Barnes and Noble and go into the New Age section, and we'd buy some spell books. Of course, we were in the 7th grade at the time, so we didn't have a lot of money. So anytime we bought something, it was just one for the group. And we would dress in black, and we would have like a book of shadows, which was a journal. And we were just like, we were close, and I loved it. So fast forward, things kind of escalated, and we started doing spells. And nothing really came of the spells because I don't think all of us were that serious. So nothing worked. We did like a love spell, and we did like a few protection spells, which I don't know if you'd be able to like gauge if those worked or not because they're protection spells. I mean, I guess you could say that they did because I'm still alive. Nothing has ever really happened to me. I've been in a few scuffles, but I came out all right. I guess that's for a different story time. One day, like I mentioned, I want to say borderline tormented in grammar school. I was very skinny, and people would call me a lot of names because I was skinny. And they would make fun of my appearance, and I wasn't always the best dressed because, I didn't have that self-confidence. I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know how to be a girl. And a lot of people had stuff to say about that. And one day it got really unbearable for me. There was this kid who started being very derogatory in his insults. And, I would go home crying, and, I really despised him. I think at that time I could say that I hated him. I mean, now I don't hate anyone. Now, my life is very different. You guys know that I am Christian. I do believe in God. I have a very, very solid faith. But at that time, I was just very lost, and I didn't do things that I should have done. I didn't make decisions that I should have made. And I think that's why, not to get off topic, but this is why I want to do story times, because I know a lot of you out there might be going through what I went through when I was younger or a teenager. And, I'm on YouTube, and you guys are my YouTube family. And so I want to share my experiences and help guide you through that winding road or that fork in the road that you've come to, because no one really was able to do that for me. And sometimes it's not easy talking to people about the way that you feel. So just hearing other experiences might help you to make a better decision. So a situation happened where he got really derogatory and started calling me all kinds of names. I was just taken aback. It was in front of a bunch of people. It was mortifying and embarrassing. And I'm not a crier in public, so I just acted like I didn't care. But I can feel myself getting hot with embarrassment. And I went home that night. I cried for a really long time. I even contemplated, suicide. And now I look back at it, I'm like, wow, I mean, really, I don't even know where this kid is now. I mean, why would I kill myself over somebody's opinion, right? But at that time, it just felt like life was unbearable for me. And, I was into this witchcraft thing. So I'm a very creative person. I can make just about anything. I can make a skirt, a shirt. I'm very creative. I can really figure out how to do things. So I was in my room one day, and I took a candle, and I burned the candle, and I decided that I was going to make a voodoo doll. I by no means am condoning this behavior. I think that no one should do this. But again, this is my experience when I was younger. It's something that I did, and I want to share it with you guys. So I took a piece of cloth. It was like an old shirt or something, and I folded it in half, and I drew out like a body line on the cloth. I cut the cloth. I sewed the cloth together until it was like halfway sewn, and I started stuffing it with like cotton balls or something. And then I continued with the sewing until it was all sewn up. I wrote his name on it, first name and last name. We'll call him Marcus for now. First name and last name. And everything that I knew about him, his hair color, I wrote, whatever his hair color was, the color of his eyes, if he was light or dark. I wrote that all on the voodoo doll. And mind you, I've never gotten my hands on this spell book before. I've never read a spell book a day in my life. This was actually coming from within my soul. Anyway, I sat there and I made the voodoo doll, and then I proceeded to burn the voodoo doll over my candle. And I just kept repeating the same words over and over again, which was like, leave me alone, stop bothering me, leave me alone. Stop. And I was crying at that time because I was just very emotional about it. Anyway, when the voodoo doll was all burned up and I didn't burn down my house, I went to school the next day, and Marcus didn't even look at me. And it was like not until like 12 o'clock that I looked at him and I was like, why aren't you talking? Okay, this is the freaky part. Ready? Marcus looks at me and says, I don't know. I want to talk, but I feel something holding me back. At that point, I looked at my girls and I was like, looked at me and was like, what did you do to me? What did you do to me? And I just kept saying, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to you. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. And I did. I think that was enough to scare the living daylights out of me, because that got me to think, like, where is this coming from? Like, how did I do this? How did I do this? I didn't pray. I didn't ask God to help me. I didn't ask him for patience. I chanted over a burning candle while crying. Now, I'm not saying that Satan helped me. I'm not saying that the demons helped me. But what I am saying is that at this point in my life, I was into something that was not a good thing. I mean, where would I be now if I continued on with that? You guys know that I am Puerto Rican, and I am mixed, but I am Puerto Rican, and a lot of my family is into Santeria. And Santeria is very, very deep rooted in Puerto Rican culture and ancestry, and Santeria is a form of voodoo. It is a form of witchcraft. And you know, my grandmother was into Santeria, and I had a lot of aunts that are into Santeria, and my grandmother during her last days lost her mind. She would think that people were waving at her in her television. She saw people that weren't there. She would talk to people that she saw that weren't there, and you know, that makes me think, like, in that moment when I realized that my spell worked, a spell that I didn't read anywhere, a spell that I didn't train for, a spell that I did all on my own in a moment of weakness, worked. And I thought about my grandmother and my aunts, who is completely white. Her hair is completely white. Her hair turned white when she was in her 30s. I mean, all of it, not streaks. Her entire head is white. Where does that come from? Who does that? Is that a sign? At that point, I decided not to do it anymore. It didn't bring me to God at that time. It just steered me away from that. And today in my faith, I am very strong in my faith. I've endured so many different things. I've seen and lived through so many different things. And my faith is really all I have and all I've ever been able to cling to since before I was married and since before I knew my husband. And it's saved my life. And I guess the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is because I want you guys to understand my journey, my spiritual journey, and what it took me to get to where I am today spiritually. And I don't want you guys to experience that, because it steered me away from it, but it might bring other people closer to it, because some people like that. Some people like to control, and some people don't think it through. Like, where is this control coming from? Where is this power coming from? I can't to this day tell you who helped me do that, but I know it wasn't Jesus Christ. That was a time in my life where I was lost, and I am found now. I am a huge lover of Jesus Christ and our Father in heaven, and I still read my Bible, and I'm still learning, and I do make mistakes. I'm not perfect at all, but I do have a very, very strong faith, and it's because of these experiences that my faith is so strong. And I want to share these things with you because I was a witch, and I did do things that are ill-advised, and I would never want anyone to go through what I went through, because I don't know that anyone would have made the decision to stop doing it. I don't know what anybody else's decision is. I know the girl that I got into it with at first is still doing it. I don't know how she is. I know when I last saw her, she didn't look well. She didn't look like herself. And I don't know if it's because of the witchcraft, but she didn't look clear. She didn't look like the same person that I knew. I guess this could be like a paranormal experience too, right? I have so many paranormal experiences. If you guys are interested in seeing that, please like this video and I will tell you some of my paranormal experiences, and you guys are going to be like, what? But that is the time in my life where I was a witch, and it lasted for about, I want to say maybe 6 months. Yeah, 6 months. I was a witch for 6 months. I didn't wear the hat or a cloak, but I did do some stuff that I shouldn't have done, and I messed with people's lives, and that was not the only spell that I did that worked. Apparently, some of the other spells that I did in the past with my friends did work, but this is the spell that the one that I did on Marcus was the only spell that I noticed that worked, and it was enough for me to be like, okay, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. So I encourage you guys, if you are lost and you feel like, you don't want to live anymore, there are so many different things or places that you can call, people that you can talk to. I encourage you guys to just create a safe haven here on my channel for people like that. Be kind to each other here and just continue to support each other. I, for one, really do appreciate your support. And I hope that you are as supportive to other women in your lives and other women that you encounter, because you never know what people are going through. And, school was not a good time for me at any point. Grammar school, high school, school was just not a good time for me. It really wasn't. I was such an insecure person, and I still have my moments of insecurity, but like I said, my faith has saved my life, and even when I do get insecure, my faith reminds me not to sweat the small stuff. And I think that that's something that people need. And maybe if it's not your faith or spirituality, it's a friend. And, that's what I want this channel to be. And that's why I shared my experience with you. That is the end of my story, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button down below, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.